Welcome to the Clear-Sighted Career Online Learning Series, brought to you by the University of Notre Dame's Alumni Association. My name is Sharon Kane, and I serve as Director of Professional and Alumni Education Programs. Thanks for joining us for this webinar that's titled, Time for Change, Tips for Successful Career Transitions. With the help of our two experts, we will share advice on how you can successfully navigate career transitions that lead to positive, maybe even transformational, change. Specifically, we'll focus on why having the right mindset is essential to managing career changes and personal reinventions. We also know that in this digital age, organizations are receiving hundreds, if not thousands, of applications for a single position. So what's the value of self-understanding and human connections? This is what we're going to explore. During this webinar, with the help of our coaches, we're going to review the marketplace realities. We're also going to discuss the human dynamics that are often at play when we embark on change, voluntarily or involuntarily. We're going to identify common realizations and misperceptions which don't always serve us well as we look to transition our career or reinvent ourselves. We're going to provide you with recommended best practices and share some key components to making a successful transition. And lastly, resources that we believe will support you. I'm happy to introduce two career coaches who are also Notre Dame graduates. Our first guest is Jeannie Denuo from the class of 1984, who's a certified career coach with 18 years of career coaching experience with senior execs from some of the nation's largest firms. She draws upon her own corporate experience as a marketing senior vice president and executive team member. Jeannie has a passion to see individuals thrive, and in her words, to have them in their right livelihood. Jeannie's ideal clients are professionals who've achieved success by standard measures, but find themselves saying, there must be more. Our second guest is Teresa Sullivan from the class of 1998. Teresa is a certified coach and founder of Wayfinder Advisors, a career advising firm helping professionals make career and life decisions that are in alignment with their values, their interests, and talents. Prior to starting this organization, she had over 15 years of technology sales, consulting, and executive relationship management experience at organizations such as Deloitte, IBM, and LinkedIn. Importantly, both Jeannie and Teresa have successfully navigated their own career transitions and honed their career coaching methods. For the last 2+ years, they've supported Notre Dame alumni who've undergone their own career transitions. These two coaches are members of a total team of 8 career coaches that are available through the Alumni Association. So Jeannie and Teresa, welcome to Clear-Sighted Career, and thank you for sharing your expertise with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here.
We'd like to begin with a few insights on marketplace dynamics. The U.S. job market is at full employment currently, so it's hyper-competitive for talent. According to the research, individuals are averaging 10 to 12 career transitions over the life of their career. That's a lot of transitions to navigate. As you do, you're going to need a few things: self-understanding and insight, robust network, skill development, trusted advisors, all to help you along the way. And when we talk about transitions, those can be a range from a promotion at the organization that you currently work in, to changes in a profession or industry, to, at the fullest end of the spectrum, a total reinvention, most often geared toward finding work that's more fulfilling or purposeful. Then there's the reality of digital job boards, applicant tracking systems, and algorithms. It was recently reported that 98% of Fortune 500 companies are using applicant tracking systems to recruit and hire talent. Staggering. What's also been reported and proven to be true is that 80% plus of jobs are found through networking. So those individuals who are in your support system and in your network, Notre Dame network, mentors, advisors, favorite faculty, career coaches, life coaches, and the like, very much still matter and make a difference. So with these marketplace realities in mind and the context that it provides, I now want to bring in our coaches and ask our first question. In your experience, what do you see as the biggest obstacles when individuals transition or seek to reinvent themselves? Teresa?
Well, Sharon, I think a lot of the obstacles that people reach are in their own mind, having to do a lot with fear. So for instance, I have coached a lot of new grads out of Notre Dame. And one of the things that they do a lot is they look around and they compare themselves to their classmates. And it seems like so oftentimes people feel like they are in competition with other people. So the first obstacle is when people are looking around and saying, I should be here or I should be there, when they don't need to be anywhere except where they are, and to look within. So that's one of the things. Another is this negative self-talk. So when we're reinventing ourselves, as much as we're excited about going to this new place or something else that we can do, a lot of times we'll tell ourselves, who am I to do this? Or how is this going to work? Or, there's just a lot of different things that people say to themselves. I had a client, for instance, who was having a lot of trouble at work, was not getting along with his manager very well. And he thought, I need to get out of this job because my manager and I don't get along. But as we talked through what was going on at work, a lot of it was his own attitude about his own work, and that relationship with his boss was causing him to think, I'm not good enough, and would get defensive when he would get feedback from a manager. And as we talk through that, what that voice in his head was telling him all the time, it was good for him to see, oh, maybe I'm creating a lot of the negativity in my own mind that I'm seeing manifested, in other people around me. So, that's something that we have to just always look at our thoughts and make sure that we're on our own side and we're not working against ourselves right in our own mind.
Jeannie, what would you add?
Well, first, I 100% agree with Teresa that the greatest obstacle is not what's on your resume or the experience you have, but what's inside your head and how you're thinking about things. One of the greatest obstacles I see with people is that the measuring stick they're using to judge their success or not success is really not their own measuring stick. So they're measuring based on what they think their parents may have wanted them to do, or where society thinks that they ought to be, rather than thinking about what is it that makes me happy. So I can't tell you how many times I talk with people who are in jobs where they're making good money and have a great title and have the nice house, only they're really unhappy. There's this big disconnect between their head and their heart. And that when we can get them to look inside and say, but what's my measure of success? What will it take for me to feel happy, fulfilled, all of those sorts of things, that's where we start to open up greater possibilities. I think another obstacle is that folks jump into these job transitions rather quickly and think, well, I have to have a job and I have to have it now. I've got bills to pay, I've got mouths to feed, rather than recognizing the importance of taking the time up front to really understand, who am I? Where am I going? Where do I want to go? How does what I've done inform where I want to be going? And that little bit of time, which might not feel like a little bit of a time in a job transition, can really have big payoffs in the long run.
Right. Just to build on what's been shared, I've also seen it where individuals can really diminish or devalue what comes easy to them. So we all have our strengths, and when something is our strength, we're good at it, and we can devalue that and assume that the marketplace also won't value it. So that's something that I've seen as an obstacle, and we just want to make sure that as we're making these transitions, we don't get in our own way, and that we're not leaving things to chance, rather that as we make these changes. Wonderful. Thank you. So we know that our thoughts and belief systems drive our behaviors, And it's our behaviors that determine and deliver our results. So I'm asking you, each of you, to please share some of the most common misperceptions people have when they're thinking about career transitions or reinventing themselves. Teresa?
Well, Sharon, one of the misperceptions that I see a lot is that if somebody is good at something and, they're being paid for this wonderful skill they have, it doesn't necessarily mean they like it. And sometimes teasing those two things apart, understanding what I'm good at and maybe what I'm not so good at, and also what I like doing, what I get energy from, and what kind of depletes my energy. I mean, those are really important things to understand. And so a lot of people look at, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. People say I'm so good at it. I get all these gold stars for it. But it's actually something that is not something that they like to do.
Fair enough. Jeannie, some of your thoughts and observations on common realizations and misperceptions in this change process.
Well, I think that I'll kind of piggyback a little bit on something Teresa said, and that's that I often see people coming to me saying, well, this is what I've done for however many years. This is all I know. This is all I can do. The kind of belief that we are pigeonholed into a very small, narrow set of skills. And one of the first things I really like to do with people is to start getting them to look broader into the skills that they have, to understand how they have application beyond just the task they've been doing. Because tasks can be taught, but skills like building relationships or creating win-win solutions or being a visionary or being able to build something from nothing, those are skills that can't so easily be taught. So one of the misperceptions is I can only do this one thing, and that's one that needs to be busted open. I have another. One of the biggest roadblocks I see is people think that networking is just hard and like putting themselves out there and means that they have to ask for a job. And I really like to help people shift and look at networking more as building relationships and a chance to communicate yourself to people out there. So one of my favorite stories is a client who really got clear on who she was and how her skills played out in the world beyond her current job. She's looking to expand into a different type of role. And when we said, okay, great, you're ready to go network now, she just got this big lump in her throat. And instead of, we talked about instead of her worrying about going into someone who might be able to give a job to her, I said, let's look at finding people that you really like and admire who kind of are these same people you're wanting to work with, whether they have a job or don't have a job or are an industry you even care about. And so she found two women that she really looked at as mentors and went to sit with them to just say, hey, here's my set of gifts and talents. Here's what I'm passionate about. Who do you know you can connect me with? And the interesting thing was these two women, who she had no intention of even doing any work with, both independently said, wow, I see your fire. I see your passion. I'd love to talk with you about coming into our organization. So just sometimes shifting the networking thing from being a drudgery and a task that's arduous, looking at it as a chance to share the best of who you are with others who are like-minded. One final really big misperception I see out there is when people come to me and say, I'm going to have to take a step backwards. If I'm going to go reinvent myself and start all over again, I'm going to have to go to a lower pay grade or take a role that's lesser than where I'm at. And I really can't afford to do that or don't want to do that or take the time to do that. And that's the only way I see to reinvent myself. So I may as well stay where I'm at. And I'm here to say that's not true. Like the skill, again, going back to the skills that we have, there are ways to take the skills that you have and apply them into new organizations, new industries, new positions in ways that allow you to continue at the same level that you were, rather than having to take a step backward or a climb.
Yes, I agree completely with that, Jeannie. And there's the other side to that is sometimes we think that we're going to have to take a pay cut, as you said, or I run into the folks that say, maybe I have to go back to school. Maybe I have to pay to get these new skills, right? The only way to reinvent myself is to get a new degree. I had this client who was a nurse, and he was working night shifts a lot, and it was really kind of tough on him. And he moved. He thought, well, maybe it's the hours that I don't like about this, and he moved on to an oncology clinic. And again, the hours were better, but the job was still something that he wasn't that excited about. So when he came to me, it was, well, I just have a nursing degree. All I've ever done is nurse. I'm going to have to go back to school. What kind of degree should I get? What do you think? And this was more about, as we talk through, well, what do you like about your work? What do you do? He started talking about this machine that they use. And he just lit up when he talked about this machine, and now he has to help fix it. And when the tech comes in, they're always surprised that he knows more about it than they do. And, as he talked about this, I said, it sounds like you're already selling this machine. You're already fixing this machine. Have you ever talked to that company about, whether you would have a position there? And he said, no, I'm just a nurse. Right. Well, lo and behold, the next time he's kind of thought about that idea, the next time that a rep came into their clinic, he said, do you guys ever hire nurses or people who know this kind of machinery? Well, she was so excited. She knew him so well, and she knew that he knew that machine so well. She called her boss right on the spot and said, hey, I've got this person who wants to do this. And in 60 days, he switched from being a nurse to being an account rep for this medical device company. And all of a sudden, all that thought about maybe I should go to business school, or maybe I need to do this, that went out the window. He made that transition without needing to go to school. So it's not always that going back to school and investing in that is the only way to reinvent.
Yes, and I think sometimes it's, our role as trusted advisors, mentors, or coaches is to help people see the transferable skills, how what they have done is transferable and highly relevant to what they would like to be doing. So wonderful. Thank you for your insights. So that brings us to some of the best advice you might give people. What are some of the components of a successful career transition? If you would, just summarize some of that top advice when people are transitioning or reinventing themselves so that they can take their next steps with confidence. Jeannie?
Great. Well, I would say the first and most important thing is to really know who you are, to really have a good understanding of yourself. So do an inventory. What's important to you? What do you care about most? So that speaks to your values. What are you good at? What are your greatest gifts and talents? And I think that one of the ways that I like to, this goes back to a point you made earlier, Sharon, about how we are often most blind to what we are really good at, to our greatest gifts and talents, because they come so naturally to us. And the ability to be able to talk about those and highlight those in your examples when you're talking with recruiters or networkers is critical. So an exercise I really like to give my clients is to take the time to find 25 people that are in your circle. And I encourage them to be from a wide variety of places. So it might be your faith community, your work community, your family, your close friends, maybe people that you work out with or that you share a passion with. And to ask those individuals something like, what do you see as 3 gifts and talents I have? Or what do you see, 3 things you see that I bring to the table? This is, for most clients, one of the most profound exercises they do, because it's really a chance to have reflected back to you things that you don't even get a chance to celebrate. And oftentimes gives you insight into, wow, I never thought I was also good at that, or I never thought that had value. And it gives you a different way to talk about yourself. So I'd say components to success is taking the time to know who you are, understanding your gifts and talents. Teresa, what do you think?
Well, I think that's so important as the foundation for that whole process, to understand that about yourself. And then after you figure that out about yourself, right, there's this transition to, how do I make something happen, right? And it's really getting your mind. We talked about mindset before. It's really getting your mind in that place where you say, I can do this, and I'm going to focus on my strengths. I may have some weaknesses, but what I'm going to focus is on what do I bring to the table, and how can I talk to other people about that? And in talking to other people about that, it's the question is who, right? We all need our tribe. I think this idea of tribe is very important. And what I mean is look at the people around you that inspire you, that support you, the type of people who believe in you and believe in what you can do. Once you start talking with them and taking their advice and asking them questions and seeing, who they might know or who you can meet, you're going to feel a lot more confident about that switch to this, to any transition that you're going to make, and it's being kind to yourself. It's really at this stage, it's just think of the good things. You don't need to think of the negative self-talk, right? You need to surround yourself with people who care about you, with people who see the good in you, and people who will help motivate you and inspire you along the way. So those are the voices that you want in your head, and that'll help your own self-talk become a lot more positive, so that going out there you can be really confident about what you need to do next. And people respond to that. I can read energy. Any recruiter in the world, anybody in HR in the world can read someone's energy. So when you walk into a job interview and you feel confident and you feel what your strengths are, what you bring to the table, that comes across, and your passions and your interests. And when you go, likewise, when you go into an interview and you say, well, sure, I could do that. If you want me to do that, I can do that. That's, that's kind of low energy. So that's where you want to take it, is when you meet with people, it's not just meeting, it's not the quantity of people you meet, it's that quality. It's having the right tribe, talking to the right people, and having that right energy when you have those discussions.
Coaches, appreciate your insights on that score. And now I know we wanted to provide people resources that will help them. Change is tough. Change is challenging. You don't want to leave it to chance. And so here's some resources, both things for your internal self and externally, that we hope will be of help to you. Firstly, Jeannie touched on that circle of 25 exercise where you ask people 3 things they know about you. Take those down, theme them up, see what patterns that are surfacing, and gain your own insights for yourself that'll help you see yourself perhaps a little bit differently than you have before as you go through the change. Secondly, objectivity can help. A career coach, someone who is there to take that journey with you, who can be objective, who, yes, can hold you accountable, but has your best interests at heart. All of that can be a real plus as you're navigating your transition or reinvention. And for Notre Dame graduates, we have a team of career coaches. You're experiencing 2 here today through this webinar, and you can make your request at my.nd.edu/career. Some additional resources that'll help you as you go through the change process. First is knowing your strengths. There's an online assessment, the Clifton Strengths Assessment, that's available to you and that we recommend as a way to get an inventory and some insights into what your top strengths are. Those can then feed into your elevator pitch, which is something that you'll want to develop and practice so that you can clearly and concisely communicate what it is you're looking to do, what's prepared you to do that, and the unique value that you bring. We also believe that managing your personal brand, whether that's online and in person, is a must. So we've developed a self-audit that we're making available to you through this webinar. And last but not least is building your network. I'm often asked, how do I access and activate the Notre Dame network? And the answer is, in part, Irish Compass. Irish Compass is the university's official online community when it comes to networking, mentoring, and job opportunities. For if you've joined Irish Compass, great, be active. If you haven't joined, join at irishcompass.nd.edu. Another part of the answer for building your network is to join a Notre Dame club and be active in that club. So here are some resources that are available to you as Notre Dame graduates that we endorse. So as we began this webinar, we noted some of the marketplace realities. Applicant tracking systems aren't going away. Still need to have a fine-tuned resume, write cover letters, go on interviews, and build your network. But what we're suggesting to you via this webinar and with the help of our coaches is providing you with some fundamental insights and more of the intangible, if you will, that really gets you in the right frame of mind and spirit for the change that you seek. Teresa, what are some of your closing insights?
Well, Sharon, I think you hit it on the head. There's so much more to it, and more to it than just the resume or updating your LinkedIn profile. The temptation when we are feeling unfulfilled or we want a new change in our career is to jump straight to that part. Oh, maybe if I just rewrite my resume, maybe if I just look into a different industry. What the foundation of any career change is that is sustainable and will be successful in the long term is laying down that foundation of who you are, understanding your values, understanding the strengths that you bring. If you don't know that, or if you haven't come to terms with it, for instance, for a long time in my own career, I really hoped I was built to be a CEO one day, that I would climb up the corporate ladder. But it turns out I'm not that type of person. I'm a much better person on my own, and when I'm serving people, when I'm listening to people. So it's knowing what you're good at and being okay with that, and then working from there. So I would just say in closing, make sure you know that. Make sure you know yourself and that you accept it. And because once you can do that, it's going to be, things are going to be much more smooth sailing from there in your career.
Yes, and when you do that, I think it opens up to the possibilities and to your fullest potential. Jeannie, what would you add from your perspective?
I would echo everything that Teresa just said, and to say that when you truly know yourself and your strengths and what you're passionate about, and you're speaking from that place, that's where the magic happens. That's where conversations happen that you might not have dreamed possible before, where connections happen that you didn't see before. Like when you are coming from this place of your greatness and the clear vision of where you want to go, that's how you'll get there.
Wonderful. Thank you both. I want to thank Jeannie and Teresa for their insights shared today as part of the Clear-Sighted Career Online Learning Series, and for the meaningful work and support they provide to our alumni and others. As I mentioned, they are two of a team of 8 career coaches that are available to Notre Dame graduates. There may be other coaches in your area that you trust, but encourage you to seek out our own coaching services. In addition to that, we have irishcompass.nd.edu. That is the professional online community where you can activate the Notre Dame network, you can seek mentors, and search for jobs. Our website, my.nd.edu/career, is where you'll find the request form for any career coaching services from Jeannie, Teresa, or our other coaches. And additionally, I encourage you to visit Notre Dame Alumni Association's YouTube channel, where you'll find a complete playlist of other clear-sighted career webinars. Thank you.